the 44. They fake it to Floyd. Young to the air. Young to Jerry Rice. Touchdown, San Francisco.
Well, that's quite a statement their defense made.
You're tuned in to NFL Weekly Review.
Aloha Faithful, how's everybody doing? Hopefully you are having a wonderful Faithful Friday here with us. Hopefully the week is over. We can finally relax, get a drink in us, chill out, talk some Niners football here in just a minute. TJ is coming. He's just got home basically, so he will be joining us in just a few minutes. So until he gets there, we're going to go ahead and hit the ad read real quick, and we will be right back.
Founded and backed by the GOAT himself, Gold Fuel is a great tasting energy drink without the crash. Use our affiliate link below to save 10% on all GOAT Fuel energy drinks. Help out the show and save 10% at the official Niner online store by using our affiliate link in the description below. Go to seatgiant.ca to save on all your theater, concert, and sporting event tickets, as well as help out the show. The website again, seatgiant.ca, promo code ninerfaithfulradio. Follow us on social media at ninerfaithfulradio on Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr, and TikTok, and at ninerfaithfulr on X.
All right, everybody, welcome back again. So we're going to go ahead and let me get this pulled up. Like I said, TJ should be joining us here any minute. Excuse me. All right, so obviously this is the week that we are going to be marching into the Saints' hometown. Actually, before we do that, let me show you this. Wrong one, because I wanted to do this one. I was hoping George was going to play this week because I got my George Kittle carrying 4 Saints with him on his back on the way to the end zone. Or not to the end zone, but on the 4th down that we had a few years ago. Everybody remembers that one. For the comeback the last time we played in New Orleans, and that was one of the best games ever, not only for Kittle, I mean, maybe Kittle's best game ever, yeah. All I know is that Kittle was kick-ass that game, basically kind of 2 plays in a row, or at least 2 4th downs in a row, kind of saved us for that game, for that game. So, I wore this, or pulled it out, but obviously George is not playing, but we will get into that here in just a second. Let me flip back over. So I think the biggest 2 things that are coming out this weekend is that we are going to be missing both George and Brock. Neither of them are playing as of right now. So we have the return of the McCorkle. Why does my chat thing keep disappearing? All right. This is being stupid. All right, but anyways, yeah, so we've got the return of both the McCorkle and the return of the prodigal son in Mac Jones and one Kendrick Bourne. It's good to see Kendrick Bourne back in the building. It was kind of funny watching him and BA do that little handshake from back in the day. Obviously, BA does not remember the handshake, but obviously KB does. I knew that he was going to be back when he came back. He would instantly bring back a level of positive vibes back to this team that was probably maybe a little bit needed after a game Sunday. There was a very hard fought battle. I mean, obviously, you could tell it was a hard fought battle, seeing so we have players who are, on the injured reserve now kind of thing. And Brock is out for, anywhere between 2 to 5 weeks, depending on how his turf-like toe, depending on who you talk to it is, feels. So anyways, so like I said, it only took us 5 years to get to McCorkle. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. Hopefully TJ will be here soon, and we can go over that. All right, so let's go over the injury report for today. All right, so the biggest ones that we have to worry about, obviously, Brock Purdy is out. Obviously, um, George is not even on here anymore because he's not playing at all. But everybody else besides Brock was a full participant. I'm not sure what's going on with Yetur Gross Matos on this one, seeing how that he didn't do anything on Friday. Didn't say that he was a limited full participant, didn't have anything, not injury, anything like that. So not sure what's going on. Obviously, Juwan Jennings has had the questionable with his shoulder. Did not participate Wednesday and Thursday. He'll be on the field this Sunday, with a full participation today. Um, CMC probably just took himself out for a vet day. Probably knows his body a little bit better than anybody else on Wednesday. He is back doing his thing. Let me check something real quick. All right. What is this one? Huh. Anyways, so CMC probably just resting himself on Wednesday, but as a full participant today, yesterday, and today. Same thing with Dominic Pooney. Dominic Pooney's been a little bit beat up since the preseason, but he was a full go today. Jordan Watkins started off, the full participated or limited participation for Wednesday and Thursday, and now is at full. Trent Williams had 2 DNPs, non-injury related. Again, probably just vet days, and then a full participant today. So most of everybody is back today, and it was wrong with Juwan Jennings. He is on LP, which is limited participation. Sorry, cannot speak today. Having a hard time. Yeah. So mostly everybody is good to go. We'll see what happens with Juwan Jennings. I would be surprised if Juwan Jennings is not going on Sunday. Would we, in that case, switch over to letting Kendrick Bourne? Would he be ready to go? Is it going to be Russell Gage? Jordan Watkins is ready to go. Could be him. He's full participation as well. We'll see how it goes. It probably depends on how much Kendrick remembers from this offense. One good thing about the Kendrick being back here is that he did play in New England with Mac Jones, so there is some cohesion between the two of them that will obviously be good for the team. All right, the next one we got the transactions for this week. So we'll start on the 8th. We signed Colton McKivitz to a 3-year contract extension, and then we also signed Kendrick Bourne to a 1-year contract deal. Again, I love the signing of Kendrick Bourne. 1 year up to $5 million, I believe, is what it was. He's going to be good for this team. He is the prototype for which became Juwan Jennings. He was that nitty gritty. Shout out to Wayne Breezy. Wide receiver who was going to do all those extra things, block extra hard. No block, no rock. Probably started with him almost. But he, like I said, gritty guy. Also brings a ton of positive vibes to any team he's there. That's just one of his things. I follow him on a few social medias. The dude is just stupid positive. I mean, that's everything about his whole brand that he has, the KB Red and everything. He's just exceptionally positive and brings it to the team that might be a little bit down right now. Also signing tackle Colton McKivitz. I understand a lot of people don't like him because he's not great. And I agree with you. He's not great. But what is he? He is a damn good right tackle, probably within the top half of the NFL as far as being top tackles in the NFL. That sounded kind of stupid, but the way I said it. But yeah, definitely one of the top. He would have been almost 50% more expensive had it come to him going out to free agency. All right, then on the 9th, we officially put George Kittle on the injured reserve. We released wide receiver Robbie Chosen. Was when we finally assigned Kendrick Bourne to his contract. We waived Jake Moody, something that had to be done. It's almost done a day too late, I think, because I think a lot of people were getting really pissed off, wondering what was going on if we were going to keep Jake Moody out another week. But I think for his sakes and his for his mental stability and his fan base in general, his mental stability, he had to go. I've said it a million times. I feel like we mismanaged him last season. We came back from the injury way too early. It was completely obvious that he wasn't ready to come back. But I think the fact that other people were playing well besides him, or instead of him not coming back, he kind of felt like his job was on the line a little bit. But when we knew we weren't playing anymore, when we knew that the injury was preventing him from getting back to what he was before the injury, because before the injury, he was kicking pretty damn good. We should have just shut him down, put him on IR, let him rest. But instead, no, what do? We kept putting him back out there over and over again. And I think, honestly, to an extent, we crushed his confidence in himself, which is one of the worst things you can do as a coach. And, part of that also goes on John Lynch, the GM. We should have pulled him, but we didn't. And he got worse and worse and worse. All right. And then on the 10th, we signed kicker Eddie Pinero to the active roster. Good pickup. Apparently, he is the number 4th all-time percentage kicker in the history of the NFL. The reason why he wasn't on any team, he was waiting. He was basically every year. A kicker's going to get hurt. A couple of kickers are going to get hurt, especially early in the season. Excuse me. And his idea was, I'm not going to join a team. I'm just going to wait it out and see what arguably what the best team available is for me to join. He was about, from what I understand, he was getting ready to board a plane to go to Atlanta. Excuse me. When the Niners called him after his tryout and said, "Hey, we want you to be our kicker." So he never boarded the plane to go to Atlanta because it was down between us and Atlanta whether or not who he was going to kick for. And so, they decided to pull the trigger on that before letting him get out of town, so that to make sure that we get a damn good kicker in the building. All right, then we also signed tight end Messiah Swinson to the practice squad. This guy's huge. He's like 6'7". Pretty much basically means we're going to elevate Braden Willis from the practice squad to the game day, or to the 53. And just Swinson is going to be his replacement on the practice squad. It's going to be interesting to see what we do with the tight ends going forward, because obviously, we don't have the explosiveness that comes out of George Kittle. That said, we also saw Sunday some of one Kyle Juszczyk playing some tight end, and he's been hanging out in the tight end room a little bit more. So we'll see if all that shows up. I want to try this. What does this look like? Oh, that'll just make me extremely tiny. Never mind. All right, going on to the next slide we got. So the big stories of the game. It only took us 5 years, ladies and gentlemen. For you guys remember that 21 draft where, did we move up to get Justin Fields? Did we move up to get Mac Jones? Did we move up to number 3 to get Trey Lance? Nobody knew until we made the pick. There was, basically the idea was that Kyle was in love with Mac Jones. When you look at the kind of system that he was running at Alabama and everything like that, it seems like he fits that system. He's not the most athletic guy, obviously. He can run. He's probably a little less he's somewhere between Brock Purdy and Sam Darnold or Jimmy G. I mean, that's a better one. He's somewhere in between there. Pre-injury Jimmy G was probably a little bit closer to Brock Purdy than most people want to remember or give him credit for, but he was actually pretty good movement-wise before that injury. But after the injury, he just didn't move. So Mac is probably somewhere in between that. But yeah, a lot of people thought, was his, the high intellect quarterback, the quick reads and all that kind of stuff, that he was a perfect fit for this system. And that Kyle really liked him at first. But then Kyle met Trey Lance, sat down and talked with Trey Lance, and probably saw what a lot of us thought, the same thing a lot of us thought about Trey Lance, that he was so raw, but the physical traits were just off the charts. And that given time, you could mold him into pretty much whatever you want. Now, that said, Trey Lance has never gotten a 100% complete shot in the NFL. I think that's pretty much, you can say that without any insult towards anybody. You can't blame him or Brock Purdy for, busting on the scene and all of a sudden just being good. You can't blame the coaching staff for going with what the known was at the time, rather than, you go with someone extremely raw like Trey Lance was coming back from injury, and, having yet another year with a roster who was getting older, getting a little slower, getting a little more beat down. And, do you want to go through a year of growing pains with someone like Trey Lance? Or would you rather go with somebody who had a hot hand, even though he himself was coming off, an injury in the offseason with his shoulder for Brock? So, you can't blame the coaching staff or anybody for how it was done. It's just the way it went. So that's just the way it went, kind of thing. So Mac Jones ended up going to to New England, had one really good year. It was actually an all-pro, or whatever. He went to the Pro Bowl. I think all-pro is the high one. So he went to the Pro Bowl his rookie year because I think no one else wanted to go. Even though he had an okay season. I think they went to playoffs, won a game. But then it kind of came crashing down afterwards, that for him. And eventually he was traded off to the Jacksonville Jaguars, where he was last season. He was the backup to Trevor Lawrence, and he started for 7 games and looked okay, and then signed here with the 49ers. So now we get to see what McCorkle looks like in this offense finally. It's probably a good – I honestly think he'll be better now than what he was a few years ago, simply because now he's a little bit wiser. He's got a little bit more obviously, he's got a little bit of more experience underneath his belt from being an NFL quarterback compared to a college quarterback, because there is a bit of a jump there. But now we get to see what he is. I mean, all those Mac Truthist back in the day, this is your time. You guys have waited for this. You've always wondered, what would this quarterback look like on this team? What would this quarterback look like on this team? We kind of got it this Sunday in the fact that we get to see what Mac Jones looks like with the Shanahan offense. Can Shanahan's offense is it really that good and that he can make anybody look good? Or is McCorkle just that bad and just, isn't what we thought he was coming out of college? We'll never see. One of the other big things to look at for this team is life without Kittle. Not just, obviously he's a tight end. So when you think tight end, a lot of the stuff, especially in today's NFL, you're thinking pass catching. So obviously, what kind of play are we going to get out of Luke Farrell, Jake Tonjes, the new hero in town, basically, and what we're assuming is going to be Braden Willis coming up from the practice squad, probably to be risen to the 53. Obviously, blocking wise, we're going to lose less blocking wise than obviously we are in the receiving department. Luke Farrell's still going to he's going to move up to be basically the number 1 blocking tight end, but he did a fantastic job with that. We're not going to be dropping off as much as we thought we were with Luke Farrell still being able to hold his own as a blocking tight end. That said, he caught a couple balls Sunday that were pretty damn good. That one that led to the Jake Tonjes one on the 4th down, he went over the middle, he caught the ball, and he took one hell of a shot going over the middle. He held onto the ball. So good up for him. Obviously, then we got Jake Tonjes. Only had 3 catches. Obviously, one of them was the huge touchdown. You should go watch my TikTok and see my video of it, which you can see from my angle because I was actually filming during that one. Excuse me. Sorry, I'm kind of blowing through as fast as I thought, but then again, TJ is not here. But anyways, will there be some more of growth coming up from him? Are we going to start maybe throwing to him a little bit more? And then obviously we are going to have Braden Willis, who for the most part, I was high on Braden Willis coming out. I loved what I saw out of him from Oklahoma, and the way we used him just hasn't found that same mode since he's been to the NFL. For the 49ers, I thought he was going to be a nice compliment to George, more towards the receiving side of things, maybe even throw him in the backfield so we can move Juice around. He could be the fullback type of thing. Again, just hasn't really developed into much all that is explosiveness that we saw in college. So, will we see anything out of him? That's what we're going to lose, is like after Farrell, the blocking situation gets really tough because George is basically a 6th offensive lineman out there. He's our 3rd tackle, basically. Is 3rd tackle, 6th offensive lineman, however you want to put it. So that's what it'll take to be. Also with that, Kyle Juszczyk has been, he did play some tight end on Sunday. Will we see more out of that? How much more will we see out of that? Obviously, Juice has better hands than a lot of people want to give him credit for. And last but not least, one of the big stories I'm looking at is the continued growth from Saleh and this D. This D played amazing Sunday. We said we were going to stop the run. This team was not going to get run over. Guess what? We stopped the run. These guys just didn't go anywhere. Yes, I know Micah Williams didn't have anything stat-wise, but he was holding his own on every play. He did what he was supposed to do with setting the edge and all that kind of stuff, yes. Like I said, I know a lot of people were down on him simply because, again, he had a very Eric Armstead type of situation where nothing stat-wise showed up, but then you watch what he's doing. He's holding his own and doing what he is supposed to. Also, with the continued growth, Upton Stout. Besides that one play where Upton Stout was got the penalty in the end zone, which I didn't think that should have been a penalty flag on him. That ball, yes, did he pull? Yes. But at the same time, that ball was 12 feet over the guy, who I think it was Najigba's head. Should have been no reason for that. That was obviously an uncatchable ball. He was not catching that in any sort of way. Give me just 1 second. Someone's ringing me. Let me see if this is TJ. And it is not. All right. So, anyways, I thought he played good, a lot better as the game went along. Again, more growth. The two guys up the middle, whether it was C.J. West or Alfred Collins, they looked good in the limited time that they were able to play. D. Winters looked like a man on a mission out there. It was almost like, go with me here, Dre who? I love Dre Greenlaw. He's one of my favorite players the last few years. The problem with Dre was that he was always hurt. Right now, and you can almost say the same thing for D. Winters. That's why he hasn't ascended as fast as some of us thought he was. But right now, he looked damn good out there. So you got a nice 1-2 punch with him and Fred, and even Staten out there. Look, everybody looked good. He was a lot faster than I assumed that he was. All right, moving on to the next part. TJ. All right, we're going to be looking at the coaching staff of the Saints. Obviously, Kellen Moore in his first time coaching, he is 0-1, lost last week. Their offensive coordinator, and obviously Kellen Moore is the former offensive coordinator for the Cowboys. So anything that does to make the thanks, Jerry. For those of you who did not watch the end of the Packers game last night, they were cheering "Thank you, Jerry" last night with Michael Parsons on the panel. It was amazing to see. But anyway, so they got Kellen Moore, who's still new to the whole head coaching gig. You got Doug Messemer as their offensive coordinator, and friend of the family kind of a situation, Brandon Staley as the defensive coordinator for the Saints. He was obviously former Chargers head coach as well. Not the most remarkable thing, but I mean, this is this coaching staff that is still learning how to coach these guys. It's still early in their tenure there. We'll see how they continue. Brandon Staley, this defense looks like a Brandon Staley, almost like a light Vic Fangio light kind of a defense, which, he is a Nick Fangio disciple. So nothing crazy out there. It's pretty much exactly what you expect. All right, on the offensive side of the ball, right now they've got Spencer Rattler leading them. I want to say he threw 46 times last week, but only threw for like 240 yards or something like that. For all the throwing that they did last week, they didn't do a whole lot in the air. It was all of his short dump offs and stuff like that. Well, there's not necessarily anything wrong with that, but can that be, sustained for a long time? Obviously, they've got Alvin Kamara still a huge weapon. Had a few catches out of the backfield, still doing Calvin Kamara things. Probably lost a step or two. Obviously, he's growing a little longer tooth. Then their big wide receiver, Chris Olave, had a few catches, but didn't really do anything with them. As you can see, for the most part, they are on the back end / middle for when it comes to offensive points. They only score 13. You're not going to win many games scoring 13 points. They only have 315 yards of offense. Passing, again, 14th at 208. Rushing, they were 16th with 107. And time of possession, they were a terrible 26-14. Again, unless you're scoring every possession like you were the greatest show on turf Rams, that time of possession, not doing you much unless you're getting a touchdown every time you touch the ball. This team is still being built, basically. This team is not going to be good probably for another year or two. And honestly, if you look at talent-wise, both on this side of the ball and on the other side of the ball, this should be a game the 49ers win, even without George Kittle, even without Brock Purdy. Even right now, our defense should be better than their offense. Our offense should still be better than their defense. Speaking of their defense, they've got Kool-Aid McKinstry, and I put that up there mostly because I love that name. You got Demario Davis, who's been one of the best linebackers in football the last few years, just on fire. One name that you will not see up there is Chase Young. Chase Young is not going to be playing this week. But if you look up there, for points allowed, they gave up 20. 17. So total yards, they gave up 276. Passing yards allowed, they only gave up 130. Good for them. Rushing yards, however, they gave up 146. They did have 5 sacks. They are going to blitz. Again, that's a Brandon Staley team. They're going to come at you. They're going to come at you over and over and over until you figure it out. And then they had 0 interceptions with all that. And then you also have the old lion himself, good old Cam Jordan. Cam Jordan and Calais Campbell from the Cardinals currently. I would love to see those two guys play one game together, side by side kind of thing, as these old Grizzly Lions kind of thing. Like I said, is he great and everything anymore? No. Is he still holding his own and still doing better than most people think? Yes. I want to say he had a sack and a half last week. Let me check this right quick. Box score. Let's see. I swear I saw that where he had like a sack and a half or anything. Oh, wrong team. Come on. Oh, well, I'm not worried about it. Did you only go over the Niners injuries? For right now, yeah, I did. That's what I did. That's a little bit over for right now, Steve-O. Yeah. So, yeah, like I said, I love Cam Jordan. I think he's one of the better guys in the league. It's good to see him, just still hanging on till the end. Our fantasy football looks a little bit different. No Brock and no George. So these are obviously coming from my sleeper app league. Basically, the only person I would even think about starting right now on the 49ers for fantasy football would be CMC. He is going to get a shit ton of touches in this game in general. If you have somewhere where you've got maybe 2 or 3 flex spots, maybe you throw in Ricky Pearsall in there. But other than that, there's really, obviously I'm not throwing Jawan Jennings in there. I'm not going to be putting Juice in there, who I think is going to get more than 3 this week. From the other side, about the only other person I would truly trust would be one Alvin Kamara. You never know what he's going to do. Between, like I said, Rattler's only going to expect to get 12 points. Jones 13, so it's kind of a wash there. Like I said, I would go with Kamara, again, more towards your flex spot than anything else. Olabi could possibly go off. Shaheed could go for 11. And then the other double J being, Juwan Jennings. They have Juwan Johnson, their tight end. It's also going for 9 points. It's nobody, again, I don't think this – I would be surprised if anybody in this game scores more than 24 points. I just see this being very low scoring in general. Let me go to the next one. And as far as betting goes, CMC 102 rushing, but plus 170. Yeah, I mean, you're going to make money on that. How confident am I in that? I don't know. I know he's going to get the touches. And then the only one I'm pretty confident with actually, I take that back. The more I just talked myself out of taking the Mac Jones with 2 touchdowns at 195. I think now I'm not going to take that one. What's up, Miss Veronica? How are you doing? Thank you for showing up. Yeah, I've talked myself out of that one. The more I think about it, even though that's one of the better ones where you can win some money, this is not one that, like I said, I think the Niners will win by 3, and I'm taking the under on the points. So, yeah, I've talked myself out of putting the money on that one for Mac Jones as we were live on the air with that one. Damn, I did not expect that one to happen. But yeah, that's the way. I'm not sure what's going on with TJ. I can hear him trying to get in, but he's not getting in. But as he's you here?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Hey, all right. I think it's my laptop, bro. I think this shit's just old as fuck. So I'm on my phone right now.
I was gonna say because I thought I was like, damn, you look a lot better than you did last week. Whatever you did, looked much better.
Yeah, no, I'm on my phone. I think this is just how we're gonna have to roll till I can afford a new laptop. Anyway,
right, well, since you came towards the end, we can start over.
Fucking A.
All right, so let's talk about my top stories of the game. So it only took us 5 years for the prophecy to happen, but we have one Michael McCorkle Jones on the team.
I know, this is crazy.
5 years ago, it was like, did we trade up for Trey Lance? Did we trade up for Justin Fields? Did we trade up for Mac Jones? Who are we going to get?
The only thing that would make this more poetic is if we were playing the Chargers this week.
Yeah.
You know, that's literally the only thing that could make it more poetic.
Or if we were playing the Patriots.
Or Patriots. Yeah, sure.
You know, just because McCorkle went there.
Yeah.
So obviously, you know, it's funny how we spent that entire offseason debating. Is the offense good because of Shanahan? Or is the offense good because of Jimmy? Kind of a situation, you know. Is he good enough to put anybody he wants in this offense and succeed? Or is it just basically because, you know, the quarterback situation? And like I said, we finally get to find out if Mac Jones is the chosen one, basically. Is he Anakin Skywalker? Is he going to be the chosen one? Kind of thing.
Prodigal son.
Yep. No. He's the chosen one. The prodigal son returns is KB.
Yeah, and you know what, Jason? I'm so glad you said that because you know what? I wasn't gonna do this, but now I gotta do it, bro. Now I gotta do it. Hold on. It's been a while since I've been able to wear this. I hope it's right on the right size. I got the KB hat.
Yeah. Look, one thing I think people forget about KB, I follow KB on social media, is why KB has probably won. And can you admit that right now it's kind of a dark time with the team? You know, you got George going to IR. We don't know how long. We don't know how long Brock's going to be out with his turf toe and everything. We needed somebody like KB and the just absurd amount of positivity and good feelings and good vibes that he brings to the team. We needed that right now.
You know, I mean, the media all week was just asking the players, is like, you know, is this next man basically like, is next man up this team's motto? Because, you know, I mean, like, it's almost, and you know, so I want to apologize for the audience for Tuesday. That shit was crazy, and like I apologize. Like, we've had some rough internet times, but we've never had some shit like that. Like,
well, we think we figured out what it was finally. I think what I was talking to you about earlier. I think that's the problem.
I think it's I honestly, it's either that or I think that's what it is. Ultimately, bro, that's why I think that I'm just gonna have to give a new laptop. Anyway, we'll talk off of air. About that, and I kind of need to go away for this weekend. It's been such a long week, bro. Like, I know this is not Niner related, but I needed to vent about this because, like, I'm not a patient person. You know, anybody who knows me knows that, and like, I don't suffer fools lightly. You know, like, I'm the type of person that, like, you got to have a little bit of common sense to for me to deal with you. I do not understand why people think that when you are holding a sign that says forward and that is green, why people insist that they need to stop their car when they see that.
Welcome to the driving world, TJ. I know you're late to getting to it, but welcome. You have years of frustration to get to catch up to the rest of us.
No, this is at work. This is at the car wash. This ain't even driving. This ain't even.
Oh, okay. I got you. Say, I get you.
Yeah, this is strictly at work. But anyway, so yes, I fully agree with you. Like, I mean, just go watch the press conference from the locker room this week, and you could just the good vibes. Like, look up good vibes and just general like positivity and everything you just described now. Go watch the interview with KB. It's like probably the third player that they interview in the locker room because, you know, it's a bunch of different videos that they just splice together.
Yeah. I felt better after watching that video, legitimately.
Yeah. And it's just like, dude, like, you just if you look up like good vibes, positivity, whatever you want to call it, and the definition, it's just a video of that interview of KB. Like, he's just it's crazy, bro. Like, it's so crazy how much positivity and just
And what it gets me is that usually people like that bother the living shit out of me because 99.9% of those people are all fake as shit.
Right?
But with him, you know what I mean? So it's the fakeness that bothers me. But with him, he actually lives it. So, I mean, it's just like, it's different from him. You get a different vibe from him with it because you know he's being truthful with it. He's being honest. That's just who he is. Compared to, like I say, when you see a
Kyle
lot of
talked
these people.
about like, it kind of pissing him off and kind of like, he would bitch at KB for being late at a meeting or whatever, and KB just be sitting there smiling and everything like that, and and you should piss off Shanahan, and so we've it just is like I'm generally like I kind of could be a pretty grumpy, like at work we have a saying and we say embrace the suck, right? Like today's literally my Friday, I have the next 4 days off. And so, like, I always have a saying at work, like, whenever you're going into your weekend, even if it's not exactly the weekend, whenever you're going into your 2, 3 days, 4 days, however many days off in a row you have, that last day of work is always going to suck. That's just like, that's almost like the law of the world, Like the last day at work before vacation, the last day of school, the last day of whatever before you have something you're looking forward to, it's just gonna suck. And we call it embrace the suck. That's just what we say at work. Like people be like, hey, how you doing today, TJ? Just embracing the suck, cuz let's go. Like fuck it, it's gonna suck. Let's just embrace it and get over it. I get through it, kind of attitude. KB is like the opposite of that, bro. Like, I don't think KB's ever had a bad day. And
he does not let bad days happen.
Yeah, and that's like, I don't want to say I'm envious of that because like I like the kind of person that I am, and I embrace who I am, but I don't think it's a bad thing. And I think in a football team, a young football team, like this is kind of, I guess, why you could say that like you never leave a job in a bad place. You
might need to come back to it someday.
Because you might need to come back someday. And so I don't listen to my own advice. But
that's a surprise.
Yeah. Jason knows me so well. But yeah, anyway, but I do agree with you, Jason. I guess a long-winded way of saying like, yeah, because I believe this is going to be the longest, or at least according to whatever reporter asked whoever about it. This is the longest time Kittle Corn's missed in his career, as far as like games in a row. So, with you and I, when we did our season preview, or maybe it was like before camp or something, I remember talking about like my big positivity of this season was like the staples our stars needed to be stars. Our staples need to be staples. Our leaders needed to be leaders. The faces of our franchises need to be the faces of our franchise. The foundation pieces need to be whatever cliche you want to use. And there's nobody on planet Earth that look, you might be able to argue Bosa, Trent, obviously 99.9% of the time, your quarterback's going to be a face pillar, kind of. Yeah. But like, you would not be able to argue maybe 2-3 players before you got to Kittle Corn. And I don't even really, the only player to me that you could argue as the type of player I'm talking about is Fred Warner. It's probably about the only one I think that you could talk over Kittle Corn about. Just as far as
Fred and Brock, that'd be about it.
Yeah, and that's like, okay, fine, your quarterback, all that. Kind of like how we said CNC was the MVP of the league in 2023, but MVP is a quarterback award. So, okay, fine, I can see that. The natural leader of your football team is always going to be your quarterback, or should always be your quarterback. That's why I kind of was like a bad sign when they kind of had to force Trey to be a captain. I was like, oh, that is not a good sign.
Yeah.
It's never a sign where your coach basically has to be like, yeah, I'm making our quarterback a captain. That's never a good sign. So yeah, I agree with you, Jason. I think the vibes, having KB, and I'm excited because look, do I think that Mac Jones can. Do I think that Mac Jones is going to come out if he plays an extended period of time? He's going to come out and make us debate whether we should have signed Brock Purdy or not. No, I don't think so. But if you tell me for a week or two that Kyle can scheme some shit together, Robert Saleh can be what Robert Saleh apparently, hopefully, can be last week. The defense can shit. I'd take even like a half of a performance from what we got last week. I'll take giving up 17 points. You know
what is up, David McNiner?
Oh, what's up, David? You gotta do it, Jason. I don't have access to the sounds or anything. Yeah. So I mean, right, Jason? I mean, tell me I'm crazy, but I don't feel a scenario where if the defense gives up 17 points, that we should walk out of the Superdome with a loss.
No, like I said earlier, I don't see either team at this point scoring over 21 points.
Mm-hmm. Isn't the over-under only like 40?
40.5. I am taking the under.
Yeah, I'm taking.
I'm just going to say this. There's betting on this show. I don't think I'd put any money on this game. It's just too.
What? Pull up the betting slide. I don't know if have you gotten to it yet?
Yeah.
Okay. My bad, bro.
No, you're good. So you got the Niners are favored by 3. The over-under is 40.5. CMC rushing at 102 plus yards. Yeah, I can see it. And then the other one that I was thinking about is Mac throwing 2+ touchdowns, which I literally talked myself out of.
I'm not touching that.
On the air. I was thinking, okay, maybe we can, but then, as like I said, the more I talked about it live, I was like, no, I'm done with this one.
No, this is Look, Jason. Week 2. I'm gonna be proven wrong about CMC not getting as many touches. Like Kyle's just gonna be like, "Fuck you, TJ." This week, you know, kind of was last week too.
We got to see more of Brian Robinson this week, right? I mean, we have to.
I would hope, especially since. Let's be real. We're not asking him to learn the playbook. We're just asking him to learn the game plan.
Yeah.
And you know what? I think, except maybe like by the bye week, let's be real, you should probably learn a big chunk of our offense by the bye week, considering how late our bye week is this year. You should know most of the offense. But I would hope so. Like something's got to be up. If all you're asking him at this point to do is just, hey, learn these
5 plays,
these 10 plays, these 15 plays, plus what you learned last week. So really, you might be only asking him to learn 4 more plays, 2-3 more plays, than what he learned last week. How many different running plays do the Niners really have? Especially since he ain't going to run every one of them. There's
Niners saying the thing is we get wide receivers back midseason. Yeah, but are we getting, like, if you're talking about BA, we don't know what kind of shape BA is going to be when he gets back. Again, I've said this from the jump. BA is not going to be BA till next year.
Like, I hate to be W Downer, especially since I was really impressed with Ricky last week. Like, Ricky, if that's what he can be, or even a little less than that, because I think to ask for that type of performance week in and week out is a lot for a second-year receiver. Who, let's be real, if BA's healthy, Juwan's healthy, is Ricky our starting receiver?
Yeah.
BA, no, I don't think. If BA and Juwan are healthy, Ricky ain't a starting receiver.
I think he starts.
Really?
Yeah.
But look,
if he's having a good year, why would you let BA start over him when we have absolutely no idea what kind of BA?
But I'm saying BA healthy. Now, yes, no, I'm not expecting anything of BA because let's be real. 6 weeks? So even if you're going into 6, even if he's able, the 6th week Niners are, hey, we're activating him off a pup. Okay, cool. He's activated off a pup. they're not going to start him the week he starts practicing, right? So you're already talking about him missing 7 games because he's not the week he comes off of PUP, he's not starting, correct? Like we could all agree on that?
I would think so.
I would think so. So, okay, you're already starting week. So you're already talking about 7 weeks. So horrible knee injury sometime around a year, right? Because by the time it's week 7, week 8, it'll be roughly about a year since he tore it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. No camp, hasn't ran. God, when's the last time fucking BA really ran a fucking route, bro? You know?
And not only running routes, but you got to remember, it's one thing to just sit there and run routes, but now you got to run routes against somebody else. You know what I mean?
Yeah, a DB that's pressing you. And like, okay, so with that, no camp, no nothing. I mean, the man's probably haven't taken a live football rep since October and over a year by that point, or around a year. And let's be real, the last time we saw BA wasn't exactly fucking perennial all-pro status.
He wasn't really lighting the world on fire.
And so he's just going to
The only reason
hop
why
in.
he didn't get more smoke is because of how bad Debo was playing.
Yes.
If Debo was playing better, more smoke goes towards BA than what he probably might have gotten.
Yeah. And I actually did feel bad with that drop he had in that fucking like I think you and me came on air, and when we were talking about Debo, you and I had Debo's back for what happened in Tampa. You and I were very much on his side and said that's a captain being a fucking captain. That's what Debo's supposed to do.
Guess who got cut this week?
Who?
Moody.
Yeah.
Moody.
Guess who did? Hey, guess who didn't make it? Guess who didn't also got cut? Taver Pepper. Sure, Debo got traded, but let's be real. If Debo balls out, if Debo's Debo that Yams game, Debo's still on this football team.
Yeah.
If Debo had been what Debo normally was when they were clearly that because ultimately Debo's on the team because of Kyle.
Yeah.
And I think that Yams game is really what sealed Debo's fate because that's the first time Kyle had came because we've talked about it many times, Jason. The 80-yard play in Chicago, where basically Kyle admitted that he was pissed off, just threw a screen to Debo as like a whatever, and Debo took it 80 yards to the house.
Mm-hmm.
Which honestly, if it wasn't for the ineptitude of the Cry Girls, I think that touchdown, because people seem to forget the way the game played out, and you know they ran out of time at the end and everything. Let's be real, bro. My butthole kind of clenched a little bit. You know, when that Cry Girls game, they were coming back. You know, and you and I, who are Niner historians, we know about the comeback they did in the 70s when we were up 21 points. You know, so like it ain't like they never came back. So. One of the most biggest plays in Niners Cry Girls history, obviously not the biggest, was that Debo's touchdown in Dallas in 21. That was one of the biggest plays in Niner playoff history, was Debo saying, give me the ball, and then immediately taking it to the house with essentially what was the game-winning touchdown. The NFC Championship game. How did the comeback in the NFC Championship game happen? I think it was the first 5 plays or the first 4 plays went to Debo.
Yeah, it was
in the second half.
There's quite a few to get started.
Yeah, so I think what ultimately sealed and made Kyle really think that they needed a refresh on the wide receiver room was that Yams game, because that was the first time since Debo's came here. Shit, don't forget his rookie year, the spinning touchdown he had against the Seahawks in week 17, the clinch by the inch game. So that was the first time that Kyle said, I need you, Debo, and he didn't come through. And that's what ultimately sealed his fate. I think BA would have probably gone through the same thing. The unfortunate part is Debo's contract was very tradable. BA's isn't.
Yeah.
I think gun to their head, I think the Niners would love to trade BA.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily because of BA's injury and whatnot. It's the contract. They want the contract to shit. Yeah. You know, they could live with the injury. They could probably live with him not performing up to said contract,
performance-wise,
but that contract is just so bad.
You and I never ultimately got you and I ultimately never got to talk about what we felt about Brock's performance on Sunday. Where do you stand, Jason? Like, hey, that's Joe-esque. Like, it doesn't always look pretty, but hey, the man came up with the plays when he needed to, and showed that he has balls of fucking steel and ice in his veins. Or are you I don't think you're he got exposed, because you're not that.
No, I don't
you're not
think
that type of guy.
No, but what I think is that we saw I'm not going to say Joe. I'm going to say more Brett Favre-ish, Aaron Rodgers type of thing, to where sometimes you just throw shit up and hope it happens, and you get lucky. And on a Sunday, Brock was luckier than he was good. Not to say that he played terrible the whole time, but I think he got lucky a whole lot more than he was good.
I could see. Look, honestly, truthfully, that ball should have been picked.
But Tonja's one?
The Tonja's touchdown should have been picked.
Dude, it was in Roland's hand.
It got
in his hands.
You know how we often say, like, a quarterback gets too much of the blame?
Yeah.
And everything. That's a quarterback getting too much of the praise. Like, when you look at that individual play, Jake Tonga saved Brock Purdy's ass. Not saved his ass like it had been like, because I do agree with you, Jason. When I said Joe Montana, I meant Joe Cool. Ice in your veins. Like, I definitely think Brock is the type of person that could see John Candy in the stands 89 yards away from, or 92 yards away from a touchdown in Super Bowl 23. Like Joe,
Yeah.
Or maybe it might not be John Candy or whatever, but Brock's like, doing the fucking what's the line dance, the fucking country dance he was doing in this video.
Oh, the Levi's one?
Yeah, but you know the dance I'm talking about?
Yeah, I don't know the name of it.
But like, I could see him doing that in the huddle, 92 yards away from the, you know what I'm saying? I love the Brock in the Pittsburgh when he did the, when he got the first down and everything. I totally see Brock being that type of player. But I agree with you, Jason. I think his game-wise, he's way more Brett Favre than Joe Montana.
Yeah. He just looks more like Joe because of his size.
His size, the sneaky athleticism where you're not going to make design like Brock's legs are never going to be a big part of our running game. Like, no. You wouldn't, like, you make Lamar's legs a big part of your offense. A big part of the Ravens' offense is Lamar Jackson's legs. You're not doing that with Brock. But I think ultimately what the great thing about Brock's athleticism is just to simply look at that play. Fuck the throw, all that. Like, how many times did Brock have been sacked, Jason?
Yeah.
So I do believe you're right. Kind of like how we talked about last year, where those throws that missed a fingertip of a DB by that much would get picked off this year, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I do think that, you know what, you can walk away from Sunday's game saying, hey, he got lucky rather than good. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good.
Sometimes that's all you need.
Sometimes all you need, and he made the plays when it was necessary. But I remember Jamie and I talking about it when where I said, look, there are very few human beings on planet Earth that are worth $53 million a year, no matter what the profession. So I think it's going to be unfair because I've seen some people who are like, that was not a $53 million a year quarterback performance.
No, it wasn't.
No, and I agree with that, but I'm like, look, ultimately, no, I don't think Brock is worth 50. Do I think he'll live up to his $53 million a year? Fuck, no, not if he don't win a Super Bowl. If he wins a Super Bowl, shit, we underpaid him. But ultimately, guess what? Like, do I deserve to get $21 an hour at my job? Nope. But guess what? That's what the market is, you know?
Yeah. So let's go with this one.
Yeah.
Robert Saleh and the continued growth of that defense. That defense played some fucking badass, like that's old school. I have not seen defense like that since, 2023, 22.
I would say 22, 20, 20-ish. Because like that's last year, Sala wasn't necessarily the greatest, but like it was great considering, no Nick Bosa, et cetera,
Yeah.
But yeah, we have not seen defense, an individual, a game like that since D'Amico's been here.
Yeah. And the rookies all showed up. I don't care what anybody says about like.
I wanted to ask you this, Jason. As somebody who, I'm not even going to ask you how many Niners Seahawks games you've been to, bro. In your life.
I've been to the last 7 in a row and probably 4 or 5 before that.
Yeah, so we're talking about 14, 15,
Yeah.
A cool minute. I mean, fuck, they've only been in our division 20 years. So, you've gone the majority of the games since they've been in our division.
Yeah.
Would you say that is the best defensive performance we've had in that stadium?
Yeah. Yeah, I would have to say so.
I know. We also gave up only 13 points in 2023, but considering, what we expected it to look like, just as reasonable Niner fans who are still positive, but I feel you and I are reasonable Niner fans. I was not expecting that type of performance, Jason.
That's a performance I expected by the end of the year, not this soon.
Yes.
The talent is there to be that good. I just thought it was going to take a little bit longer to get there.
I did as well. So, question. I saw this floated around. We specifically talk about Robert Saleh and the growth of the defense and, the maturity he's probably had as a coach, with his experiences in New York and all that, as far as being the head man and everything. We don't know when Kyle's contract will end. So in theory, this could be the last year of his contract. I don't think it is, but let's just say in theory it is. Or this, even better than this, Jason. Let's say you're looking at that 2 next year, the year after, and people are starting to sniff around Saleh, and he is what the return of the prodigal son and everything. Do you move on from Kyle and hire Saleh as head coach? To simply say, we do not let Robert Saleh leave the building. And the way that we do not let Robert Saleh leave the building is by making Robert Saleh our next head coach. Because fuck, how long is Kyle going to teach? Is Kyle really going to be the head coach of the 49ers for 30 years? I mean, fuck, it's already been 9, bruh. Next year he would be head coach just as long as Bill Walsh. Think about that.
It all depends on how everything's going. You know what I mean? Have we won a Super Bowl? Have we completely crashed? Have we gotten to the Super Bowl and lost it again because of stupid decisions? You know what I mean? It's like
of our head coach not knowing the rules of overtime. Maybe.
Yeah. So I mean, I understand what you're saying, but I mean, what if we go up to say we get to the Super Bowl and the offense puts up 45 points, but then the defense gives up 50. So I mean,
I get you. I get you.
It's too hard to say something. But would I like to see something in a contract that said Robert Saleh is the next head coach for the 49ers? Yes.
I would. I think ideally what you do is, you try to throw as much cash as you can, because Larry Krueger said this, that somebody asked him, well, how do you think Eddie D would have operated in a salary cap system? Because obviously Eddie never had to operate with a salary cap, or at least not, or if he did, it was towards the end of his tenure as our owner.
Yeah, I don't think he did have to do anything with it.
I don't think so either, but like if he did, it was definitely towards the end of his tenure. And he said, I think Eddie would spend where there's no cap. That's like Eddie, the difference that what the Niners would have done to make up the difference is they would spend in the areas that aren't capped. Yeah. Like that's kind of what Eddie did. That's why, Eddie made us travel in first class and the players had the best of everything and all that. And where I think that would be is coaches, because coaches aren't capped. So I literally think Robert Saleh would be the highest paid defensive coordinator in the NFL. Clay Kubiak would be the highest offensive coordinator,
Well, Saleh is the highest paid defensive coordinator in the NFL.
I know. I'm just saying, like, it might even be by significantly more.
Yeah.
Like,
you know what I think Eddie would have also done? I
What?
think he would have thrown bonuses a little bit. Like he would have made the bonuses for players a lot more reachable, and so that you were more guaranteed to get that money. Instead of saying Brock has to throw over 4,000 yards. Hey Brock, you only got to throw for
3,500.
Yeah,
Or 2,000.
Yeah, something like so that it's more of a guarantee without actually being written in as a guarantee.
Yeah, I definitely do think things like that. But so that is like, I agree with you, Jason, and like I don't want to over exaggerate after week one, and Robert Saleh is going to be the greatest thing ever, and Paxton Lombardi, get the Lombardi only has to go across the street this year. I don't want to be all that after week one, but I would definitely say I did not think I would think of this after week two, but I won't. It's unfair because we didn't really get to see Kittle Corn be Kittle Corn, but going into Sunday, I'm more confident about the defense than the offense.
Yeah, I think that's an easy one.
Although Mac did, because I do believe I am confident about Sunday ultimately because I liked from what I saw from Mac Jones. I thought Mac Jones looked great in the preseason for our backup quarterback. And can we hold it together against the together against the Aints, the Cardinals, and the Jags and win 2 out of those 3 games, Jason? Yeah. I think so. Even if we lose this week, I think we can squeak it out against the Cardinals at home and Jacksonville at home. The faithful kind of bring the extra little point. Do I have a little bit less confidence that Mac Jones can go into Levi South? Huh?
Oh, I was saying what's up to Papa.
Oh, yeah. Am I a little less confident that Mac Jones can go into Levi South? And get a dub there? I'm a little less confident in that.
So I don't think you guys heard it, but walking out of the stadium, well, obviously you guys did because it was after the game. We were chatting Levi's North.
I was like, I ain't gonna lie, I almost said it, and I was like, okay, like I don't want to get super arrogant, and like,
I'll send you the TikTok where there's a guy that I've met him. He's a huge Seahawks TikToker. And he's got out there. It's after the game, and he says Lumen has fallen, and it's all them walking.
Oh yeah. I've seen that.
That was pretty good.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little jealous. Like after seeing the videos of you this weekend, and like just different videos I've seen, I'm a little like. Let's be real. As far as like atmosphere and for what you tell me and everything, this would have been a better atmosphere and like a more back and forth game.
In probably 4 or 5 years that it felt like CenturyLink filled. When it was the Legion of Boom, this was the first time I have felt it like that in a long time there.
So I don't want to get arrogant and say, Levi's North and all that, because it's look, bro, like you and I don't have to be reminded of the pain that we suffered in that stadium before. You of all people don't have to be reminded of that, Jason. I'm sure.
I was at the NFC Championship game. I know how bad it felt.
Yeah, I can, bro. I think I would have gone to jail that night, dog.
Nah.
Like,
It's
I
a game, man. At the end of the day, it's not worth going to jail or fighting anymore.
I think I would have gone to jail after that game. I really would have. Yeah, I'm actually kind of surprised I never have been. But anyway,
So let me ask this question to everybody real quick. So obviously, McCorkle is wearing number 10. Are you going to have more people bust out their Jimmy G number 10 or their Kyle Williams number 10?
shut the fuck up,
or your Ronnie Bell number 10.
Hey, just saying. Bro, it's just somebody's got to come and exercise this demon, bro. Like it might as well be McCorkle.
It was supposed to be Kyle Williams from Washington State this year in the draft. If we had gotten him, I'm guaranteed number 10 would have been uncursed. He would have
that jersey is fucking it's so funny because it's kind of like you obviously have obviously most famous sports curse of all time is the curse of the Bambino.
Yeah.
And everything like that, which to me, that shit's gotta be real, bruh. That shit had to be real. Like, I studied Red Sox history, and they were really fucking cursed, bruh. And just the way it was broken, coming back from 3-1, Kirk Schilling with the bloody sock, doing it in New York. Game 6 and Game 7 were in New York.
Yep.
And everything I remember that series.
I'm not a big baseball fan, but I actually remember watching the last few games of the last few of those just because it was so, like you said, historic.
Well, my high school sweetheart stepdad is from Rhode Island. So everything except football, funny enough, because he's a New York Giant. He's a New York Giants football fan. Mm-hmm. Matter of fact, the fucking Kyle fucking Williams game, I actually watched at their house. But he's a New York Giants fan. But every other sport, he's Boston. So he's actually a diehard Red Sox fan. So that's why I remember watching that series and everything like that. But anyway, Manchester United, ever since Ronaldo wore number 7, that even when he actually came back, people consider the number 7 number 7 to Manchester, because they don't retire numbers in soccer. So number 7 to Manchester United would probably be number 80, number 16 to us. It's a important number. But I do believe in curses, and I don't know if I would say, it's hard to say Jimmy's cursed because we did do a lot of fucking winning. And ultimately, I think why Jimmy G wasn't the one, to bring us number 6 was ultimately because of his injuries. In 21, I think a healthy Jimmy G probably beats the Yams,
Yeah.
I think if Jimmy, I will never not believe that in Super Bowl 47, in my heart to hearts, or not 47, sorry, Super Bowl 54, in my heart to hearts, I will always believe Jimmy was concussed, that overthrow to Emmanuel Sanders.
The one time he overthrew anybody.
One fucking time in history. Anyway, so yeah, ultimately,
fuck it. Steve, from what I understand, he's not only out, he's out for the season.
Who?
Julian Blackman, their safety, the one that we had talked about. I think he has a shoulder injury where he's out for the season, I believe, is what I saw.
That sounds pretty serious. All right. So we got the betting lines, went through the last thing. Anything else, brother?
No, unless you want to talk specifically about something you know about their offense or defense.
No, I think that about covered it. I think that ultimately I do think we'll pull off the dub. What I saw from the defense, I think look, I'm a little worried about being lightweight exposed by the Yams or other teams as the year goes on. But I trust Robert Saleh, bro. Like they're not gonna this ain't gonna be the 2019 game 48-45.
No. And the Saints are kind of in the middle of a rebuild right now, so
I would think they would like to call it more of a retool, but I agree with you. Like obviously depends on how the game goes, and hey, is it ultimately just like, dude, you're without Kittle Corn, you're without Brock, shit, Trent's questionable, Jawan's questionable.
I don't think Spencer Rattler is bad, but I don't think he's the answer there. And they also got Tyler Show. Yeah.
Kamara. I just
a quarterback position.
Oh yeah. I just feel that like we go out, we play 49er football. I think that we should have enough talent on Sunday to get the job done. Might not be pretty, might not look the best. Might not be walking into, the home opener feeling the most confident and like we're, going to be NFC West champs. But I would say, obviously, see how the game plays out. But I would say I'm leaning to being more disappointed if we don't come. If on Tuesday we're not talking about being 2-0, I would say I would be, just the way I'm feeling right now, I'd be disappointed if we don't walk out 2-0. KB with the game winner, Jason. KB with the game winner.
Talent-wise, just, if we're going just off talent-wise, we should win this game. Both sides of the ball, I think we're still more talented.
We're better coached. We got or I shouldn't say we're better coached. We got better coaches. And you know what, Kyle, like, I trust their defense ain't a slouch. But, like, with Robert Saleh and Kyle Shanahan, like, we can figure it out. Like, we better go out there and figure it out. Manchester Derby is Sunday for me as well. So this is actually a big Sunday for me. You got Manchester United versus Manchester City. And Jason and I are old enough to remember when Niners Aints was a big, like, bro, I kind of hated the fucking Aints growing up.
Dude, remember, them and the fucking Panthers used to be in the NFC West back in the day.
And Falcons.
Yes, and the Falcons. We used to have 5 teams in the NFC West. It was us, the Rams.
Do you remember the game in Carolina where TL caught the game winner with like 1 second left? Anyway, I just
old shit. Oh, also, their right tackle Fuaga might be out too. Last I saw, he was questionable.
Or lightweight George Seifert going to Carolina and lightweight kicking our ass for the first couple years of their existence. You remember
the second year of their existence, the Panthers and the Jags both made it to the conference finals. They both made it to the championship games. So it was like, shit, are they going to both do this?
I forgot about the Jags, but I knew the Panthers did. I knew the Panthers did. I remember. I remember early Reggie Bush years and going to New Orleans and just getting our asses handed to us. I forget, I just I'll never forget, just personally, I know I hate to put this on the Saints organization because I understand it was specifically one coach, but it was kind of a culture thing look, I'll never get over, them talking about Frankie Gangster and saying you kill the head, you kill the body. Yeah. I'm sorry, I always kind of, like I said, that's not so much the Saints organization, more as fuck, Dennis Allen and shit.
What was the Saints linebacking crew called?
Oh,
the Dome Patrol? Was that what it was? The Dome Patrol?
The Dome Patrol.
Yep, when they played that 3-4 defense and they had 4 badass fucking linebackers. Fuck, man, I can't remember the name.
People forget. Ricky Jackson, he was on the 94 team. Yeah. He was on New Orleans. So, people forget. Matter of fact,
Ricky Jackson, Sam Mills, Vaughn Johnson, and Pat Swilling. Damn, those were some damn good linebackers.
A little bit of a Niner history just between Niner Aints. Maybe we'll talk about this on Sunday. I might not do pregame. We'll see how because literally the Manchester Derby starts at 8:30, and the Niner game, obviously. So honestly, I might be watching the United game and listening to the Niner game on the radio, but watching the United game on TV for the first couple minutes. We'll see how it all turns out. But everybody talks about the comeback against the Aints that basically started the legend of Joe Montana and everything like that. I believe we were down like 28-3 or something, or 28-0. Joe, it was in the 70. It was in the 70. I want to say it was the 79 season. We were down, and we ended up winning 38-35 in overtime. And everybody said that was the start of the legend, or at least the pro legend of Joe Montana, was that game. And then it kind of started to turn around the Niners and everything like that, because obviously we know, I think we went like 6-10 in 1980. We go 2-14 in 1979. But that was that year. I think it was 6-10 in 1980. And then we obviously know how 1981 ended. But all right, bro. You're doing halftime, right?
Yes, I'm going to be back doing the halftime shows.
All right. So we'll catch you at halftime, Jason. I'll try to get a pregame show on Sunday. I'll try to do one from the city.
Do it at halftime of the Manchester game. Whatever time that is.
Yeah, actually, you know what? I was thinking that's actually what I'm thinking about doing. That's probably going to be about 9:15. So yeah, you know what? I'll try to go live about 9:15, bro.
Whatever, Red Zone. Better late than never, brother. Coming in.
Better late than never. Yay!
All right, TJ. We'll definitely see you Sunday morning, brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. Love y'all. Faith, love, and happiness. See y'all Sunday. Yay!
All right, everybody. Thank you again for joining us on our Friday Niner Faithful Radio Weekend Review Show. Again, TJ will be live during for his pregame on Sunday. I will be doing the halftime show, and then Jamie will be doing the postgame show. So until then, everybody, y'all have a great weekend. Enjoy it. Don't forget the game is at 10 a.m. this Sunday. Fafatai te lava. One love.